Well, I'm general counsel at DCFS in Illinois, the major child welfare agency, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the national hotline, and I was general counsel there and head of the cyber tip line, which is about internet child porn and child exploitation on the internet, the subject of what we're seeing right now in this case.
How many years of your life have you dedicated to this topic?
30 years to child protection in all sorts of child abuse, incest, child exploitation on the internet, human trafficking, clergy abuse scandals I was very involved in. So kind of everything that's a wide range of expertise in this area.
And when Oprah had the problem with the school, you were an advisor to her too, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. And worked on child protection issues and legislation.
As you saw the Bernie Kerik and Rudy Giuliani and the text that Mayor Giuliani put up last week, and now have seen what Gateway Pundit is breaking with these text messages, put forward to our audience in your nonpartisan professional way, where do you think we stand with this part of the story, and what do you think is happening right now?
Okay, these texts are an admission against interest. This is damning evidence, both the text last week that we saw where Hunter said, I caused a very unsafe environment for the kids. That's kids plural, Steve, kids plural. The texts today that we're seeing are putting Joe Biden in the center of this scandal. In my opinion, my professional opinion, Joe Biden is the center of this scandal. He apparently did not protect these children because now let's step back. July 2018, when all these texts are coming about Hunter Biden being dangerous, being unsafe, what does Jim Biden say? Jim blames the victim. Your dad blames the victim. These are all lies. We're going to shove it down her blanking throat. There's a character assassination going on about the apparently mother of this child. What is troubling to me is that it's always killed the messenger. And, the American people understand the dynamics going on in this sexually dysfunctional family. 7 months before Joe announces for president, he's having his whole family blow up. All hell is breaking loose. And what does he do? He protects the predator based on these text messages. Now, that tells us a lot about the character of this man, and that's why I put Joe Biden at the center of this sex scandal as opposed to his son, and why this is so heinous, and why this is such a danger for this little girl who, frankly, has just experienced a trauma with the death of her father, and she now is going through this experience. Children who go through sex abuse have 4 times more likely chance of going into drug abuse, 4 times more likely be involved with PTSD, 3 times more likely have a major depressive episode. That is why child abuse is so dangerous for the society as a whole. And frankly, if the media isn't interested in this issue, I know that the American people are. And we also know that none of the victims know their perpetrator. 34% of sex abuse happens with family members. So this is your classic case. But these text messages, Steve, are a roadmap for the investigators. This case could have easily been resolved and prosecuted. This case should have gone to the head of the FBI will say, oh, many cases, and, there's just a backlog. We need more money. This is what they always say. This is what they said when I was involved with working on the FBI in cases. This case, because of the national security implications, because the financial implications.
What do you mean? What do you mean? National security implications?
The fact that the getaway vehicle in this crime family was Air Force Two. The perpetrator of child sexual abuse was on Air Force Two repeatedly, many times. Those are the national security, the overlay of this typical incest case. It became far more grievous. And that's why, another abuse cases, Steve, is that where there's sex abuse, there's financial fraud. They go hand in hand. And so before Joe Biden announced for president, he should have, and he had this major scandal and here's a little girl who there's a total imbalance of power, and the imbalance of power I have never seen with a prominent, the vice president, or potentially the president of the United States, and this little girl who's making allegations in her family against the son of the vice president. Talk about an imbalance of power.
If Rudy and these guys dropped it off at Delaware, in the Delaware paper, the online version of the Delaware paper, the next day, or even late that night on Monday a week ago, this time they were down there last week. They were down there with Delaware local authorities, which they were told to go make this report to, give this information over from the hard drive. The AG said that night, yeah, we took some stuff they gave us and we sent it immediately to the FBI. Are there other alternatives? Right now, it's just gone down the memory hole. Nobody knows what's going on, if there's been an intervention, if there's been... Does the audience in making inquiries, or are there other parts of the U.S. government that are essentially empowered here to get involved?
Well, it sure appears that the FBI is slow-walking this case. And my recommendation is to put a little federal bureaucracy rivalry in place by referring the entire hard drive to the Cyber Crime Center at ICE, which has a child exploitation investigation unit. These guys do the same kind of investigations that the FBI Innocent Images unit does. We get some competition going. Who's going to charge? Who's going to make a case? It's what we have to do. My experience with ICE, and I've worked with both ICE and FBI on these kinds of cases, they're the little engine that could. With far less money than the FBI has in their budget, the Cyber Crime Center is making cases left and right. I give this case to them and see what they can do to make a case quickly, because it appears, they've had it the FBI's had it for 9 months. They're slow walking it. As you said, Steve, it's going down a memory hole. And children are at risk. We have no confirmation and no ability. And there may be other children. I haven't seen the full hard drive. Maybe no one has seen the whole. There may be additional children, even internationally involved, who may be at risk. This needs to be investigated forthwith. And the text messages only corroborate the photos. This is a slam dunk case of child abuse on a family level, incest. And the imbalance of power in this case for government intervention. And this is why the government must be involved in child cases, because they are the voice of the children against these powerful predators. And the American public understands this intimately, and the American public understands this case. And that's why I view it kind of differently than everybody else. I view this as at the feet of Joe Biden, who did not take action. And that last chilling text last week that we saw was so troubling to me, because there was no apology or no remorse from Hunter when he's talking to his father in this text. And it almost sounded like to me that this was not new behavior, that this may have been accepted behavior. Result, I'm very concerned about this case, that it's going to be dropped like so many cases in the past, like the Epstein case. Why does it take 20 or 30 years to bring these predators to justice? The McCarrick case, the Weinstein case, the Cosby case, the Sandusky case, the Epstein case. And yet this is why the government needs to be the advocate for children, because children have nothing else. And the text today, you saw what the victim, the predators say. Oh, she's lying. This is a character assassination. Blame the victim. She's great, whatever. That is classic language used to destroy the victim. Is it any wonder that less than 10% of victims step forward and disclose? So my recommendation is send the hard drive to the Cyber Crime Center at ICE. Let them have a look at it. I think it's an easy case to make, and see if we can get some sibling rivalry going between the federal agencies here.
Liz, Yore, how do people get more access to you? Because on my phone, everything's blowing up right now. People want to get more access to
Elizabeth
you.
Yore. Elizabeth Yore's my Yore, Yore, children.com is my website.